So let's start. In my previous classes, I have discussed about the research or types of research, process of research. So today we will talk about what is research design, or you can say the third step in your research process, overall research process. So let me share my screen. So the question is, just hold on, share the screen and this. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am,
Class?
it's visible, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So the question is, what is research design? What is your understanding about the research design? As in my previous lectures, I have talked about research is a systematic process. It's a step-by-step process, and in that there are 6 steps, and each step is followed by the other step. So here in research design is basically a framework, or you can say a blueprint for conducting the marketing research project. Means you can say it's a kind of roadmap. If you have some problem in your hand, you have defined means from that problem you have defined your objective. Like for this problem, I want to perform this research, and this is the objective of my research. Now the question will be, how will you do your research? So research design will talk about that particular, means it will provide you some framework, or it will provide you some blueprint. It will talk about your questionnaire. It will talk about your variables in detail. It will talk about what kind of research you should follow, whether it's a kind of exploratory research, whether it's a kind of descriptive research, or whether it's a kind of causal research. All will depend on your objective you have chosen and the type of research design you will choose. So again, it will talk about the type of sample, what kind of sample, what should be your sample size, everything. So research design is a framework or blueprint for conducting the marketing research process. It details the procedures necessary for obtaining the information needed to structure or solve the marketing research problem. So it definitely talks about the what are the steps, or what are the means what are the information actually you need for your particular research problem or for the particular objective. So in short, if I say, the research design is basically a roadmap for conducting your research, whatever problem you have or whatever objective you have. So whatever objective you have, it will either means as per the objective, your objective can be either require some background information, or sometimes from your objective you want to have some detailed study about your project, or sometimes you want to know the cause and effect relationship between the variables as per your objective. So as per the objective of the research design is further classified into 2 different parts. So these are the, yeah. So minimize this. Is it visible, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the classification of the research design. Research design, as I already told you, it's a roadmap or it's a blueprint. Now the research design is further classified as this exploratory research, and second is your conclusive research. Now this conclusive research design is further classified as descriptive research and causal research. So if anybody asks you what are the 3 different types of research design, so you will simply say exploratory research design, descriptive research design, and the causal research design. All have the same purpose, means all will perform certain kind of research, but the methods of performing the exploratory research design, descriptive research design, or the causal type of research design is different. Means you will perform different techniques to perform such exploratory, descriptive, and the causal research. So firstly, we will talk about the exploratory research design. This exploratory means, as its name suggests, you are exploring something. Means you have some problem that is very unstructured in nature, and you are not aware of, means you don't know some background information about the problem. You are not able to identify what variable should I get for this particular problem, or what should be my objective, means problem is very loosely defined, you can say. Then you will perform this exploratory kind of research design. Suppose you open some new store in some new area. Let's say in Jetney area you have opened your newly this let's say apparel store you have opened in Jetney area. So you are not aware about this particular Jetney area, or you want to know what will be my means sales for that particular in that particular area. So you will perform certain kind of exploratory research, means before opening your store or before launching any product, before taking any decision of opening of any store or opening of whatever you want, then you will conduct certain kind of exploratory research. Because you are not aware about the consumer attitude or the consumer responses, so the basic level of information that you will collect for that particular area, that is called the exploratory research. Means firstly you will explore that region. Suppose you have well established let's say business in the Jetney area, you know about the customers and everything. So next time when you will come up with some new product, so very little amount of exploratory research design is required, or it will not require, because you are aware about the people reaction or the people attitude, and then accordingly you can launch your. So first time when you go to that any particular area or to start any business, you have to perform such exploratory research. Means you have to explore that particular region or that particular area. Later on, you know everything, then this exploratory research design is not required. So this is the exploratory research when you will explore something when you means your when your problem is very loosely defined, or when your problem is very unstructured in nature, then in that case you will perform firstly exploratory research design, then it would be followed by your descriptive or the causal research. Or suppose exploratory research design are also performed by the researchers. Suppose you want to develop some new variable, let's say uh, that is brand satisfaction, brand identity, brand equity. So these are the different variables that has been means there are researchers who have developed the concept of brand equity. How they come up with the concept of this brand, means when you are developing some new concept or when you come up with some new idea, then that is also known as the exploratory research. Means we are exploring something new, that is called exploratory. Or if I say job satisfaction, so job satisfaction or customer satisfaction, so or you can, or I simply say satisfaction. So that satisfaction is a term that has been explored by some researcher. So when you explore or when you give some new ideas, then that is known as the exploratory research. If I say compulsive buying, so compulsive buying is again a term which has been developed by some researcher. Motivation, perception. So these are the different terms. If I say the destination as a gender, so that is a new concept. I am developing a scale on measuring the destination as a gender, whether that particular any destination is a male or a female. So that is a new concept, or that is a new idea that for measuring the gender of the destination, I am trying to develop a scale. So that is a new concept. I'm conducting some exploratory kind of research, and I will come up with some new idea of measuring the destination as a gender. So that is an exploratory research. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The uses of exploratory research, or simply you can say what is exploratory research. So when you are developing insights or new ideas or new variables that I've already explained, when you will come up with some new model, or let's say I did during my PhD, I have this, like I performed the research on compulsive buying. Then there are two variables, sources of stress, first and second. Then compulsive buying is related to post purchase regret, and I have used this self-esteem as a mediator. So this is my model. So you can say, ma'am, you have performed the exploratory research, because I have developed this model for the compulsive buyer, the consumers who are compulsively buying products. So what are the antecedents of compulsive buyers? So I took two variables. Then under this two variables, there are different sub variables also. Then what are the consequences of the compulsive buying? So you can say these are the post-purchase regret. I have also used the self-esteem as a mediator. So I want to check whether the self-esteem means the relationship is strong for male or female, or for the high self-esteem consumers or for the low self-esteem consumers. What is the degree of this relationship, what is the value of relationship, whether it's same or whether it's going to change. So I have developed some models, so you can say it's a kind of exploratory research because no previous studies has been done. Although compulsive buying is already been measured, self-esteem is already been researched by some researcher, post-purchase regret is already been researched, the different variables has already been researched by some researcher. But I have used those variables and I have developed or I have created my own model for the compulsive buyer. So you can say it's a new concept that has been developed. So that is this exploratory research. Second is formulate a problem or define your problems more precisely. That is also exploratory research. What I said, when your problem is very unstructured or very loosely defined. So firstly, you want to understand your problem. So in that case also you will perform certain kind of exploratory research. Then to develop hypothesis. See, in exploratory research, you will never perform any kind of quantitative analysis or the qualitative analysis. No, you will perform some qualitative analysis, but you will never perform this quantitative. Exploratory research are generally qualitative in nature. Suppose you want to explore anything, or suppose you want to know more about that particular Jatni area or that Sundarpada area. So what you will do? You will take some interviews. You will trying to know what is the consumer's attitude towards that, not consumer attitude exactly. You will exactly trying to know what is the consumer demographics. Then you will explore what other stores are there, who will be my competitor. So you will perform certain kind of exploratory, not exploratory, qualitative research you will perform, and then you will get some information. So this, when this exploratory research will come, then you will never perform this quantitative. You will generally perform the qualitative research, and from that qualitative information, qualitative research information, you will take your decision. Then this exploratory research is formulate a problem or define a problem more precisely. Then it will also help you to develop the hypothesis. Hypothesis in what sense? As I said, you will define your problem more precisely. More precisely means, if I say uh, let's say satisfaction, so you will define your problem. What is, I am talking about the satisfaction. Whose satisfaction? That is a customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction towards a newly developed store. So you will come up with new variables, different variables that are going to affect my customer satisfaction. Whether it's a service quality, or whether it's anything, whether it's the quality of my product also, or you can say price of the product, or whether it's a competitor's product. So there may be different variables. Means you will identify these different variables that are going to affect my customer satisfaction. It means you have performed certain kind of exploratory research and you have come up with these ideas. So you will develop the hypothesis like the service quality is positively related to the customer satisfaction. Means if my service quality is high, then obviously customer will be satisfied. If quality of product is very good, then customer satisfaction is very high. If competitors quality is very high, then obviously my customer satisfaction would be low. So you can say there is a negative relationship between the competitors product quality and the customer satisfaction. So you will develop means you will perform the exploratory research and you will get some variables, and now you will, from that variable you will develop your hypothesis whether it's a positive relationship or a negative relationship. So you will develop hypothesis also. Isolate key variables and relationship for further examination. Means, as I said, customer satisfaction. So you have isolated this particular variable, or if I say compulsive buying, means from the problem you have to identify the key variable, and that for that, or if I say online community engagement, brand equity. So these are the different variables, and now for these variables you have to identify what are the other variables that I'll take. So you will get all these information from your exploratory research. Then you will identify the different variables, and then you will identify what will be the antecedent and what will be the consequence of this particular variable. So you will get all these information through the exploratory research. Further, you will establish the priorities for further research. Means you will just like in movies also, you can see last में end में वो show करता है कि something new and new chapter will be coming or new addition उसमें आएगा. So they have established, means they have give you some clue like in coming episode what will happen. So that is they establish priorities for further research. Okay, so these are the different types of, not types, that you can define the exploratory research in terms of it will help you to develop some insights or the new ideas or new variable. It will help you to formulate a problem or define a problem more precisely, because your problem, when your problem is very unstructured or very loosely defined, then in that case you will use exploratory research. Further, it will help you to develop hypothesis. How? Because you have some variable and now you have to identify what are the other variables that are going to affect my particular variable. Then also you will isolate the key variable. Here key variables, you can say, you can isolate what would be my independent variable and what would be my dependent variable. So exploratory research will help you to isolate the key variables and relationships for the further examination. Then also it will establish priorities for further research, means they will give you some scope, like what in future you can do for that particular problem or for that particular objective. So that is all about the exploratory research. Let's take the example of this. Why the store revenues so low? So here, what the researcher will do, that is a newly opened store or newly developed store in some particular area. So you will perform some exploratory research. Why the revenue is very low? You will investigate the customer. So you will get the different perspective. Like firstly you will investigate the customer satisfaction. Then you will try to assess the target market perceptions of stores and the competitors, means what are the consumers perception or what are the target market perception towards your store and towards the competitors stores. Okay, then determine the target market awareness, means people awareness or the people awareness towards your brand or consumers brand awareness. Okay, so these are the different aspects or the different areas in which you can look. Or there may be other factors also. I took only three. Investigate, like if the store revenue of your store is very low, so you can investigate the customers. There may be other factors also, but I took three. So you can investigate the customer satisfaction also. You can assess the target market consumer perception towards your store and towards the competitor's store. You can also determine the target market awareness, consumers brand awareness. So these are the different areas. Or you can say you are performing the exploratory research, and after performing the exploratory research, you come up with these different variables. What are those variables? So here you will write revenue, and revenue will act as your dependent variable. And what will be your IDV? So your IDV customer satisfaction. You are trying to identify the relationship between the customer satisfaction and the store revenue. Then perception of consumers towards your store. Then perception of consumer towards your competitors, perception towards the store and perception towards competitor. Then you have also trying to identify the target market awareness, or you can say the brand awareness. So these are, you come up with four different and independent variables that are going to affect your revenue, or that will affect your this revenue of your store. So these are the findings, you can say. You come up with the findings of this exploratory research. These are the four different variables that are going to affect my this store revenue. So this is the example for, you can say, this exploratory research. Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Second type of research is descriptive research. Descriptive research or conclusive research means the research design is classified as exploratory and the conclusive, and this conclusive is further classified as descriptive research and the causal research. Because descriptive research is basically when you want to describe something in more detail, then that is known as descriptive research. Suppose before taking online classes, I will do certain kind of exploratory research, or let's say I was teaching to this CA students. So before taking their classes, I want to know, I'll check what is the background of the student, whether most of the students, because I am teaching those students to mathematics. So what is the background of the student, whether they are from the commerce background or whether they are from the science background. In science also, whether they are from maths background or they are from this biology or geology department's background. So this is, you can say, a kind of exploratory study I have performed before taking their classes, or before taking your classes. I will check whether you guys are from maths background, because in this paper also we will require certain amount of mathematics for the software. So whether you are from that background or you, or so if most of the students are from maths background, my strategy of teaching will be different. If most of the students are from commerce background or science in the sense biology department, background, then my strategy of teaching will be different. So every time I will perform different kind of strategy. So how I will change my strategy as per my exploratory research. Now suppose most of the students in my class are from the maths background. So in descriptive research, I will perform, I'll use that strategy so that the student can easily understand. So in descriptive research, I will closely check all the students' performance. Means I will describe each student's performance. Means no, I am not going to further perform this exploratory study, detailed study, you can say. I'll check the detailed analysis, or let's say if I say I'll do the profiling of each consumer, not consumer, each student. Let's say those who are from maths background, I will do the profiling. Like the students, those who are from maths background, they are good in this, they are good in this, they are good in this. And the students who are from the commerce background, they are good in this particular variable, they are good in this, they are good in analytical part and all. So these are my descriptive research. Means I am going to describe the different consumers or the different set of individuals. Or let's say the example is develop the profile of smokers. Means those who are heavy smokers, those who are medium smokers, those who are low smokers. Or if I want to develop the profile of, let's say, compulsive buyers and the impulsive buyers. What is the difference between compulsive and impulsive buyers? So I'll define the respondents or the individuals who are having this compulsive buying ability. They can, these are the characteristic of the compulsive buyers. If I consider this impulsive buyers, so what are their characteristics? So I am simply describing. Means I am not no more exploring that particular area. I am simply describing. Or let's say if I take this example of Reliance Jio. So before launching this Reliance Jio, they perform lot of exploratory study, and then later they come up with this Reliance Jio network. So this Reliance, after coming into the market, what Reliance Jio will do? They will no more do this exploratory study. They will perform the descriptive study. What they will do? They will trying to identify the demographic of the consumers. Or if sales is very low, then they will, because they have already performed the this exploratory study, now they will do the descriptive study. Now they will start describing each consumers in the target market. In the target market, if suppose there are 10 consumers in the market, now they will do the detailed analysis of each consumer. So that is known as a descriptive study. If they have a set of database of 100 consumers who are using Reliance Jio in any particular area, so in descriptive study, they will do the detailed analysis of those 100 consumers. Or there are 100 non-users of Reliance Jio in any particular area. So if you perform this descriptive study, what you will do? You will trying to identify why these 100 consumers, or what is the demographic profile of these 100. Means you are doing some detailed analysis of these 100 non-users or the 100 users of the Reliance Jio. So to describe the characteristic of a relevant group such as consumers, salespeople, organization, or the market areas, so in that case you will use the descriptive research. Class,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now to estimate the percentage of units in a specified population exhibiting a certain behavior. Again, means you have to identify what should be the sales of my product in any particular region or any particular area. Then also you can use this descriptive research. Estimate the number of the example for this is estimate the number of shoppers who are heavy users of prestigious department store but also patronize the discount department store. So that will help you to know more about this particular problem. Means you want to know the percentage of units, or you can say if you want to know what would be the sales of this particular store. So you are actually describing your consumers in terms of those who are purchasing from discount store also, and those who are purchasing from the prestigious department stores also. So that is also one of the example for this descriptive research, not exploratory research, descriptive research. Third is to determine the degree to which marketing variables are associated. For example, shopping at department is associated with eating out. See, in descriptive research and the causal research, most of the time it is quantitative in nature, quantitative, but exploratory research generally qualitative in nature. Qualitative means you will perform some interviews simply, but in descriptive and the causal research, it is mostly quantitative in nature, like to determine the degree to which the different marketing variables are associated. Suppose those who are do shopping at department store also prefer to have eating out. So these are the two, means shopping and eating out. These are the two variables you have identified, and you want to know the relationship between the eating out and this shopping. So you will perform the descriptive kind of research. Third is to make a specific prediction. What will be the retail sales of any XYZ store for fashion clothing area and the Jatni store? So in this case also you will perform this descriptive research. Means you have already all the information about your sample. Now you are going to explain or describe your target market. Then you will use this descriptive store. Or in short, if I say exploratory will explore something new, or some new insights or new problem. And descriptive, you have identified your target market. Now we are going to describe that target market. Then you will use descriptive research. The third kind of these are the descriptive research methods. We will discuss this in coming classes. This what are the surveys, means these are the methods for performing. You will perform some surveys, you will perform panel, you will have some observational and the other data. So these are the techniques, three different techniques that are used to perform this descriptive type of research design. Then third type of not third type, let me explain this also. Okay, so now your descriptive research is further classified as here. See, your descriptive research is further classified as cross-sectional design and the longitudinal design. Check it. Yeah. So descriptive research is cross-sectional research design and the longitudinal research design. This cross-sectional research design is further classified as single cross-sectional and the multiple cross-sectional research design. So now what is cross-sectional and what is longitudinal? So this cross-sectional design involves the collection of information from any given sample or population element only once. Means in a cross-section, you will select your sample and you will collect the data from that sample only once. केवल एक बार आप उस particular sample से data collect करोगे, then that particular research is known as cross-sectional design. This cross-sectional design is further classified as single cross-sectional and the multiple cross-sectional. In single cross-sectional, from the population, suppose this is a defined set of your population, from that population, you will select a single sample and you will collect some data. Then you will say it's a single cross-sectional design. In multiple cross-sectional design, you will collect multiple samples from the same population. And then you will collect data from all those samples, but only once. Then that is known as the multiple cross-sectional design. Cross-section, जब भी आ गया, every time you will collect data only once. From each sample, you will collect data only once. After that, you will not collect any data. Then that is cross-sectional single from your defined set of population. If you choose only one sample, then it is a single cross-sectional. If from the defined set of population, you took 3, 4, or 5 different samples, then and then you will collect data from those 5 different samples, then that is known as a multiple cross-sectional design. Second type is longitudinal design. So longitudinal design, a fixed sample or samples of population elements is measured repeatedly on the same variables. Means from any defined set of population, you will take some sample, and from that sample, every time you will collect data. Means suppose you want to perform some longitudinal study, let's say you want to know the consumer reaction towards the present BJP government. So you will from last 5 years or from last 10 years, this 5 year will complete them 10 years. So you want to conduct some study to know the consumer reaction towards this particular government. So you will perform the longitudinal study, and in for that particular longitudinal study, you will collect some sample from the defined set of population. You will take one sample, and that sample, let's say there are 20 respondents in that sample. So every time whatever research you want to do, you will take only those 20 respondents and you will perform. Means time to time you want to know about the government, so you will not choose different samples. You will simply take this one particular sample, consist of 20 respondents, and then these respond every time. Whatever study you will do, they will give you the responses. So that is, there will be one fixed sample, and whatever study you will do as per your problem, that is known as longitudinal research design. That is a fixed sample or samples of population elements is measured repeatedly on the same variable. See, longitudinal research design differs from the cross-sectional research design in that the sample or the sample remains the same over time. In longitudinal, your sample would be same, but in the cross-sectional, every time whatever data you want to collect, every time you have to choose different samples. But as its name suggests, longitudinal means lamba. So your sample will be same. But in case of cross-sectional, you will use your sample only once. This is the relative advantages and the disadvantages of longitudinal and the cross-sectional design. So evaluative, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are the 5 different evaluative criteria. So first is detecting change. In case of cross, here plus minus is representing, plus indicates a relative advantage over the other, while this negative represents the relative disadvantage. So if I say detecting change, so in case of cross-sectional, it's a disadvantage. Disadvantage in terms of, means in cross-sectional study, you cannot detect the change in consumer behavior. But in case of longitudinal research design, you can easily detect the change. Because if I say consumer behavior towards any particular store, so in order to know the behavior, simply you have to check the change in consumer behavior. Then you have to perform the longitudinal study, because how you will measure this change in behavior. So first you will collect the data from some set of consumers. Let's say you took 5 respondents and their behavior, you measure their behavior. Then after the period of 6 months, again you took those 5 consumers and then change in behavior. So you can easily identify in case of, because your sample is same, so you can easily identify the change in behavior. So in case of detecting change, longitudinal research design has advantage over this cross-sectional research design. Second is large amount of data collection. In case of longitudinal research design, you can easily get data because you have your sample, seems you have to collect data from the same set of respondents. So it is quite easy for the researcher to get data from this longitudinal research design as compared to this cross-sectional research design. Also, in longitudinal research design, you can say this is a very what I say, compensatory in nature. Like the respondents who are in the longitudinal, because you want to collect the data from the respondent from every 6 months of time. So you will compensate them. You will give some gifts, or you will provide them some money for this longitudinal research design to your respondents. So in that case, also they are happy to give you some data. So that is also help you to collect large amount of, means you are giving some money or you are giving some gifts to your samples for the data collection. So in that case they are happy, and they are happy to provide you some data, whatever means whatever data you want. So in that case also, this longitudinal research design has an advantage over this cross-sectional research design. Third is accuracy. In terms of accuracy, if I talk about, longitudinal research design is more accurate as compared to this cross-sectional research design. Fourth is representative sampling. So representative sampling is also, in case of representative sampling, cross-sectional research design has an advantage over the longitudinal. How? As I said, this longitudinal research design is generally compensatory in nature or monetary in nature. So when you are giving some gifts, sometimes what happens, there may be some respondents. Suppose there may be some respondent who don't have any information about the politics. But if you ask about the government and all, you want to conduct some study about the politics or about the current government's work, then in that case they will not be the representative. Means just for the sake of gift or just for the sake of money, they come to your sample. Yes, I know everything about the this politics, and so I'll involve in your study, and I'll provide you all the data, whatever, or I'll give you my response, whatever research you will do. So in that case also, means you can say it's a drawback of longitudinal research design, because it is monetary and some compensatory in nature. So in that case, respondents or the sample that you will get may be non-representative of the population. Then response bias also, again the chances of response biasness is more in case of longitudinal research design as compared to the cross-sectional research design. Is it clear? Class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. मैम एक्यूरेसी कैसे क्रॉस सेक्शन का कम और लॉन्गिट्यूडनल का ज्यादा होगा?
Accuracy is more in case of cross-sectional, because response biasness is high in case of longitudinal. So accuracy will be, oh
मैम उल्टा
हो गया, sorry. Here it will be plus and here it will be minus. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Because
Yes, ma'am.
response biasness is high in case of longitudinal research design. So obviously when biasness is high, then obviously accuracy will be low. अच्छा, यहाँ पे नेगेटिव था क्या? नहीं, यहाँ पे here it should be positive.
Okay, ma'am.
And longitudinal research design should be negative. Good. Now see, so what I said, in case of cross-sectional, it will not help you. Means in case of longitudinal research design you can detect the change, but in case of cross-sectional you cannot. So this is the example. The cross-sectional data may not show change. So these are the, let's say, in the time period of time period 1 survey and time period 2 survey, and these are the brands purchased: brand A, brand B, and brand C. So these are the things that you can get. Means in time period A, 200 times the brand A is purchased, 200 times the brand in period 2 also 200 times. Brand B is purchased 300 times in time period 1 and 300 times in time period 2 also. In case of brand C, so brand C is purchased 500 times in time period 1, and in time period 2 again brand C is purchased 500 times. So it is not showing any kind of change. This is the table for, you can say, cross-sectional data. But if you have this longitudinal data, then it may show you some substantial change. Like these are the brands A, B, C that are purchased in time period A, and these are the brands that are purchased in time period B. Means time period 2, brand A, brand B, and brand C. So how many times the brand A is purchased in means, like here in time period A, brand A is preferred over the other brand, means 100 times. Total number of purchasing for brand A in time period 1 is 200. Okay, so अब यहाँ से अगर आप देखोगे तो for time period 2 only 100 times जो है brand A is preferred over other brands. Other times में आपने brand B means brand A is preferred over 100 times over the other brands, but brand A in time period 2, when you are purchasing brand A, here you are purchasing 50, here you are purchasing 50. So it is showing the changes, means in time how many times the brand A is preferred over the other brands. Like in here also brand B, so out of 300 times brand B is preferred only 100 times in period 2. Out of 500 only 275 times the brand C is preferred in period 2, means preferred over the other brands in period 2 is 275. So it may detect you the change, like here only 100 times in period 2 you have preferred brand 1, in the brand B and only 100 times over 300, means out of 300 times you have preferred brand B only 100 times. Again in brand C, out of 500 times you have preferred in period 2 only, you have preferred only 275 times this brand C. So similarly for the other brands also, how many times the brand B is preferred over brand A? So you can say it's 25. How many times the brand C in period 1 is preferred over brand A in period 2? So you will say it's a 75. So you can see the changes. You can identify you can calculate the percentage, what percentage of consumers are preferring this brand A over brand B or brand C. So in longitudinal will help you to detect some substantial changes in the consumer responses. Now, third type of research design is basically the causal research. Causal research, as its name is, so it will be, let's say, अच्छा ये casual हो गया है क्या?
Yes, ma'am.
It is a causal.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, not casual research, it's a causal. CAU होगा ये, ठीक है? So uses of causal research. Causal research, it's basically a cause and effect type of relationship. Means what is the effect of let's say income on consumers expenditure. So it's a cause. What is the effect of the Reliance Jio in the telecom industry or the other competitors in the market? So again it's a cause and effect relationship. Emergence of laptop on desktops, again it's a cause and effect. Or the emergence of, let's say, tablet on laptop, so again it's a cause and effect relationship. So to understand which variables cause or to independent variables and which variables are effect dependent variables of the phenomena, so that is a kind of causal research. Means if you want to know the cause and effect, because of this what will happen, because of this what will happen, what would be the effect of low internet connectivity on taking the Zoom or online classes. If there is low internet connectivity, what will happen? Or what is the effect of consumers or the students' performance on online classes? So here online classes is a dependent variable, student performance is independent. No, sorry. Student performance is a dependent variable and Zoom, taking online classes through Zoom is a dependent variable. So this is a cause and effect type of relationship. So that is the causal research. So to determine the nature of relationship between the causal variables and the effect to be predicted. And the method is basically that we perform for this causal research is experiments that we will discuss later. What are the experiments and others? So causal research is basically to identify the cause and effect type of relationship. So every time, whatever problem you have, whatever objective you have, on the basis of that, you will define what kind of research I am going to perform, whether I am going to perform the exploratory research, whether I am going to perform this descriptive research, and whether I am going to perform this causal research. And every time your design will be different. If you are performing the exploratory research design as per your problem, then your way of doing research or process will be different. If you are performing the descriptive kind of research, your process will be different. If you are performing the causal research, your process will be different. So if you are used to exploratory is basically when you are trying to explore something new, or let's say you are trying to developing some new concept, just as I said, I'm trying to develop a scale that will measure a particular destination as a gender, or that will consider a brand as a gender, or so that is a new concept I'm trying to develop. So that is my exploratory study. I'm performing some exploratory study, and my all other things, all the steps that I'll follow will be different. Descriptive, if I want to identify or to do the profiling or to know more about my consumers or about my target market, then your process will be different. But if I want to know cause and effect relationship, what will happen to the sales of my competitors if I launch my new product, so again I want to know the cause and effect relationship. So or what is the effect of this lockdown with the Indian economy or the world economy? Again, you are talking about the cause and effect relationship. What is the effect of demonetization on the Indian economy? So again, it's a cause and effect relationship. So every time your process will be different on from your problem and from your objective. You have to define whether I should perform descriptive research here, or whether should I perform exploratory research here. Sometimes it will happen you have to perform all. Sometimes you firstly will perform exploratory research, then you will perform your descriptive research, and then you will perform your causal research. Suppose if I say you opened a store in a some particular area, then firstly means why the sales is very low, you don't know any about that particular reason. So firstly you will perform the exploratory research, you will identify the variables and all. Then you will develop your hypothesis, then you will define your target market, means you will do the profiling of the consumer, that is a descriptive research. Then you will identify the relationship between the different variables, like customer satisfaction has a positive relationship with my means if customers are satisfied, then obviously it will increase my sale, or it will increase my market share. So again, it's a kind of cause and effect relationship. So in this particular example also, we are performing exploratory research, then descriptive research, then causal research. Sometimes there will be a case that only you will perform exploratory research, sometimes you will only perform the descriptive research, and sometimes you will only perform this causal research. So these are the three different types of the research design, and you have to choose as per the your means as per the problem or as per the objective of your research. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Any doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No doubt. Okay. This is the errors in the marketing research. You can say, like in my first class, we have discussed about this confidence interval, that is 95%, alpha, that is 5%, or probability 0.05. So I discussed that what is this 5% or what is this 95%. I said 95% I'm confident about the decision I'll take. So that is the confidence. Then where is that 5%? This 5% is the error, you can say. So here we will discuss those 5% error. How does this 5% error can come in your research? So total error is the variation between the true mean value in the population of the variable of interest and the observed mean value of in score. Total error is basically what you're supposed to have from your population and what you actually get for your sample. If I say the average income of people in my population is 10 rupees, let's say, and for my sample, let's say it comes 8 rupees. So there is a difference of 2 rupees. So that is because of error. So total error is the variation between the true mean value in the population of the variable of interest and the observed mean. This observed mean value is basically that comes from your sample. So that is the error. If for population is 10 rupees and for my sample also it is 10 rupees, then there is no error. My research is error free. But if for population it is 10 and for sample is 2 and 2 rupees difference is coming, so that is because of the error. So that's why we generally take 5% level of significance. We consider this 5% as an error term, whether there may be some chances. If it is less than 5%, then we will say this 2 rupees error is acceptable. Means if it is 5% less than 5% of this 10 rupees, then you can say it's acceptable, and the mean income of population is 10 rupees only. Means 2 rupees का जो error आपका आ रहा है, it's acceptable. But if it is more than 5%, then there is a problem. So you means researchers generally try to reduce those errors. Now you should know what are the sources of error, how this error come. So there are two different sources of errors. If I say that is the random sampling error and the non-random sampling error. As its name suggests, random sampling error. Sampling error, the error that will arise because of the sample, and non-sampling error that will arise because of other than this sampling error. Sampling error basically, random sampling error basically, if you choose wrong sample for your study. Suppose I want to do some study on class 12 student. Means class 12 student will be my sample, but wrongly I'll select the MBA student. I'll perform my study on the MBA student. So that is, you can say that is a random sampling error. Non-sampling error, there may be some chances of error because of this sample. Means I'll select the same sample, means I took those class 12 student, but apart from this sampling, there may be some other sources of errors that we will discuss in next class. Okay. So is it clear what is sampling error, random sampling error, and non-sampling error?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
Sahashpreet,
Yes, ma'am.
what is the difference between the sampling and non-sampling error?